call the meeting to order. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie of the roll. Forum. Welcome to the new board members and the incumbent. Congratulations on your re-election. I asked Jordan and Scott to join us at the table because I remember Gakey did the same for me, and you did too when we started, when Joel and I started. So welcome. I move on to item C, adoption of the agenda. Jackie, do you have any changes? Mr. George?
Not for this agenda. Nope.
This agenda. Okay. Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
A motion and second to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Move on to item D, public input on non-agenda items. Carrie, anybody signed up down there? I don't think there's anybody here to speak, so we'll move on to item E, approval of minutes of past meetings. Maybe a little bit to take a look at those if you haven't already, and let us know if there's any comments. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve those when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the past meetings.
I'll second.
A motion and second to approve the minutes of the past meetings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item F, approval of financial items.
Under the business official report, you'll find the audit draft for fiscal year 22. We'll review a little more in depth if we need to in the organizational meeting when we are asking for an approval on it. But as you can see, there were 3 findings, and the district took action to correct those findings. One was an enrollment issue. We didn't count one student, a student that we thought was an open enrolled student, but ended up being a resident student, so they have to note that. The balance limits at the banks, which we took action to increase those limits this summer. And then now I'm blanking on what our third one was. Sorry. I had it, and it is.
Exceeding the budget.
Yes, we did an approval for a budget amendment, and I still didn't go high enough with our ESSER dollars, so they did notice on that as well. So, like I said, nothing that is of substantial findings, and we were able to have corrective action plans for all of those things. So, when I asked KRP if we could approve it tonight, and she said yes, they're still doing some final revisions as far as documentation, language, quality control kind of things, that she recommended approving it, so without issue, so that it can get turned into the state as soon as possible. And then the next item is to review the abstract of votes from the county. We don't have to do anything other than we're just reviewing those. So Amy Harder, 412 votes, Jordan Menning, 393, Shelley Berg, 164, Scott Sturman, 406, with a scattering of 9, for a total of 1,384 votes. Amy Harder, Jordan Menning, and Scott Sturman to be duly elected as directors at large for a term of 4 years and signed off on by the board of supervisors. So that is all I have for my report at this time. Moving into the financial reports. The annual treasurer's report for October of 2023. As you can see, our revenue is down just a little bit, which we expected, again, because we did not do a cash levy, because we're not qualified according to the state's equation for that. And then expenditures are down around $23,000. Cash is still up, and even though we're not levying for cash, because our expenditures are down, our cash stays up just a little bit as well. The next report is our special revenue report for the special revenue funds, including management, PEPAL, Pearl, SAVE, and debt service. As you can see on the bottom of the report, the total fund balance for both the PEPAL and save balances around $945,000. We continue to get around $75,000 to $85,000 from the state each month. And then what we keep doing in our old business as far as considering save bond terms, if we do go ahead with projects that are being looked at, we'll look at borrowing against those saved dollars, those future earnings of saved dollars. And let's see here, activities report. We don't really have anything specific to report on the activities report, consisting of the activity fund, hot lunch fund, student construction, FFA, and split. As you can see, student construction is still running at a negative. We'll continue to run that way until the house is purchased in total by the purchasers. So at this time, it appears they are funding most of the improvements being made to the inside of the house. And in summary list of bills, I had a report out there, the November 2023 report, and then late this afternoon, I did add a few additional bills. If you have any specific comments in regards to the bills that are listed, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
Jackie noted the next board will review and approve the audit. Any other questions? Jackie or Mr. Joel?
Two new people. This is actually a year and a half ago's audit. KRP has been experiencing all the same issues that a lot of people are feeling, short on staff, just not able to get it done. So we did ask for an extension through the state. It was granted till September 30th. Didn't hit the September 30th, and the state just keeps asking. There is, at this time, really no penalty that we've been informed about, so just hoping to get it in as soon as we can. So we're happy to see it. We have a draft of that report.
Once we get the previous year's audit, our plan is, like we've done historically with that finance budget committee, we'll meet with them via Zoom or a phone conference to kind of review both of the audits if there's any more detailed questions.
If we get that
Hopefully it's
next report.
by our March statutory deadline.
Questions? Entertain a motion to approve those items, financial items when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial items as listed.
Second. A motion and second to approve the financial items as listed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And item G, administrative reports, discussion items. Item 1, recognition and congratulations to student, staff, and community. Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, a lot of students to recognize this month as we kind of concluded our fall activities. So I'll start with National Honor Society. We had 10 students inducted just last night into the National Honor Society. Their names are listed there. Alex Brenneman, Ashlyn Davis, Mariah Gerlman, Avery Harmon, Liza Jans, Anna Koob, Tanner Lincecum, Morgan Meyer, Veronica Stubbe, and Tate Vanderweerd. So I know Mr. Engelman led that ceremony last night. Nurse Brenda Van Huffwagen was our guest speaker. And congratulate those students on their academic achievement, their service, character, and look forward to their leadership going forward. Anything you want to add there, Mr. Engelman?
No, thanks to Brenda for being our guest speaker, and Mr. Langel contributes to that as well, being in the auditorium, and Gabby Rasmussen had a musical piece prepared for us too. So all around, good evening.
Speaking of Gabby and Amber Langholt were selected for the All-State Band and Choir. So they performed this past weekend in Ames. Congratulations to them. Since we met last time, the cross-country team qualified and competed at the Class 2A state meet, the girls. I listed kind of the achievements of each of the runners in the state meet. The team finished 15th overall, so tremendous season for them. Like we talked about before, they finished second overall in the War Eagle Conference, so congratulations to them. Football, what a great season by the football team. 12-1, runner-up finish, and just found this afternoon here, a couple hours ago, all the all-district award winners. So 12 players from the football team recognized for all-district Nolan Baker, Ryan Chase, Sam Christensen, Drew Denikis, Trevor Deeren, Graham Eben, Isaiah Johnson, Drew Coopersmith, Jack Kroll, Gabe Schulte, Carson Vandentop, and Reese Vandersee. And then Dwayne Postmo is recognized as the Assistant Coach of the Year. So all state awards will come out later. I believe it's traditionally this weekend's register that publishes those. There's a lot of different publications. So we'll continue to compile those and update you on the football postseason awards, but can't say enough about our kids and their performance on the football field all season long and the last 2 weeks down at the Dome. In addition, the volleyball team has their postseason awards there. So Sarah Bjerke, Mariah Gerleman, Desta Hugendorn, Kenna Metzger, Shelby Stetniks, and Riley Weiler were recognized for all conference awards, including academic all conference awards. So congratulations to them. Mr. Harmon, Mr. Engelman, you got any other students you guys would like to recognize? Kind of staff congratulations. I want to thank our elementary crisis and prevention and intervention team, Mr. Harmon, Mrs. Gerber, Mr. Jagger, Mrs. Jansma, Mrs. Weiler, for all their support of students and staff. We had a couple traumatic incidents over the course of the last month, and that team has really kind of stepped up and supported kids and staff. So we want to really recognize them, in addition to our secondary team as well, but especially that elementary team. So that's coming from kind of the peers down there in the elementary building. And then quite a few community members to recognize as well. The PTC helped and volunteered to staff the book fair during Parent-Teacher Conferences Week. Jody Schrick kind of is the organizer of that, but the volunteers are the ones that staff that throughout the course of the week. And special thanks there to Kim Clausen, Tom Vinson, Holly Master, Mandy Telford, and Michelle Van Wy for their monetary donations. Every student that goes through the book fair gets a book, and thanks to those donations, we were able to make sure everybody got something to take home. So, Moms in Prayer here in Rock Rapids provided meals to staff on both Monday and Thursday night of conferences. So we really appreciate their willingness to do that for staff, so they don't have to plan something extra on those 2 nights. Mrs. Harmon wanted us to recognize the United Clovers 4-H Club. They did a kind of a food drive for the backpack program, and we got over 3,500 pieces of items donated to the backpack program. So tremendous. We got piles and piles in kind of the outer office of the high school counseling office, thanks to the United Clovers. And then we had a host of people that donated, contributed to those travel expenses with our couple trips to and from the Unidome the last couple weeks. So Frontier Bank, Premier Bank, Avera Medical Group, Sanford Health, Seaport of Foltz, the Quarterback Club, US Bank, Bruce and Rachel Eckenrod, John and Janet Fredrickson, and Joe and Kim Murphy. So those continue to come in, and we'll continue to make sure that we thank them as those roll in. And then on behalf of the board, last recognition I'd like to have is for both Andy and Dave for their service to the board, to the school district, and all the kids and families that have been a part of our school over the course of their tenure on the board. Takes a lot of time to prepare for these meetings and become educated on the topics of conversation and decisions you have to make. And we really appreciate you guys investing in the school district and giving them your time. So thanks for all your service.
Okay, we'll move on to table items, and Mr. George will explain those to the new board in the next meeting. We have nothing new there. First item, new business, second reading and new policies listed. Had the first reading last month. There's no questions there. Questions or comments, we'll entertain a motion to approve that second reading. I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of policy 50. Motion and second to approve the second reading of policies as listed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Carried. Dave, you have some thoughts?
Thanks, Andy.
Bonjour.
So first of all, I'd just like to say thank you to mostly the people in the district for putting their trust and confidence in me in the last 12 years to help lead the school in the right direction. That's very humbling for me, and so that's greatly appreciated. And I feel like I've gotten more out of it. As you mentioned, Mr. Jorth, it's a big commitment, but I feel like I've gotten more out of this experience than I put into it. I've grown both personally and professionally through the experience. I've met a lot of great people, got to know them more so than I otherwise likely would have. So a lot of that starts with you around this table. So I greatly appreciate all the relationships that we've developed, the opportunity to work together, and so I appreciate that very much. And I'll certainly miss that regular interaction that we have. By all means, don't be afraid to reach out if you have any questions. I wish nothing but the best for the district and the school. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out and ask me any questions. Always have the best interests of the school at heart. Thank you.
Well, I can't follow that. My only advice to the board, two things. A lot of hate in the world, just be kind to one another. Be kind to people you interact with. And as long as you make every decision with the kids' interests at heart, you can't go wrong. That's what we do that. Dave, would you like to make a motion to adjourn?
I would love to make a motion to adjourn the final meeting of the current board.
We have a motion and second to adjourn the final meeting of the current board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Didn't know which way you were going, so. Thank you.
We'll put you on the carousel. Good luck. Enjoy your Monday nights, Dave.
Let's see, it's been probably 144 more meetings.
At least conservatively.
What do I want to do my math?
Regular monthly meeting, not in addition to.
Exactly.
Done a lot of it.
All right, we'll call the next meeting to order. We will not do the pledge of allegiance since we've all done that already. 7:18 p.m. and by calling the next meeting to order, first order of business is the oath of office to the incoming board members and re-elected board members. So we're going to do this all at once. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of Director at Large for the Central Lyon Community School District as now or hereafter required by law? If so, answer, yes, I will do so.
Yes, I will do so.
Yes, I will do so.
Perfect. I hereby verify that I administer the oath of office as required by Iowa Code Section 277.28 to Amy Harder, Jordan Menning, and Scott Sturman on the 20th day of November, 2023 in my capacity as the Secretary for the Board of Directors of the Central Lyon Community School District. Next order of business is to adopt the agenda, and I believe there are a couple changes, Mr. Jorth?
Yes, so we are going to add or insert kind of in the middle of our agenda in new business. Number 5, consider allowable growth in supplemental state aid. The application is for 2 modifications. The first, increased open enrollment out, so we will receive on-time funding for about $85,478. And then for the limited English proficiency program, or the ELL program, for students that are continuing that program beyond 5 years. So another $4,810. If you guys are okay with that amendment, I'll make it official on the online agenda.
The application opened over the weekend and is due December 1st, so that's why it's being added as a last minute item to the agenda.
We have to submit your guys' approval as a part of that application, so.
If that is agreeable to the board, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with a new business item.
So
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, and next item of business is the election of president of the board. Mr. Dorff, I will let you take over.
Yes, the first thing I need is a nomination for an individual to serve as president. There could be multiple nominations, but we do need at least one. If there's not multiple, then we'll still have to take action to vote as a group, even if it's only one member.
I will make a motion for an election for Scott Postma. Nomination, sorry.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? All right, not seeing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, now I get to do an oath of office for the president. Mr. Postma, do you solemnly swear that you'll support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of president for the Central Lyon Community School District as now or hereafter required by law? If so, answer yes, I will do so.
Yes, I will do so.
I hereby verify I administered the above oath as required by Iowa Code Section 277.28 on the 20th day of November, 2023, in my capacity as Secretary of the Board of Directors for the Central Lyon Community School District. Next.
We can hand the gavel over to our new president.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on, we will now elect vice president, just as Brent has said. We need to nominate at least one, but we can nominate multiple if there is so chosen to do that. And then we will, again, same format as voting for the president. So we'll open it up to nominations.
I will nominate Amy Harder.
Second.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote for the election of Amy Harder as vice president. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same for those opposed? Passes.
Oath of office for the vice president. Amy Harder, do you solemnly swear that you'll support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of vice president for the Central Lyon Community School District as now or hereafter required by law? If so, answer yes, I will do so.
I will do so.
I hereby verify that I administer the above oath as required by the Iowa Code Section 277.28 of the 20th day of November 2023 in my capacity as Secretary for the Board of Directors of the Central Lyon Community School District.
Moving on to the next item is committee assignments and appointments. As you can see, all of the committees that are listed. I believe each committee, 1 through 5, buildings and grounds, budget and finance, negotiations and personnel, policy and sharing, each have 2 board members on. And then Central Lyon Foundation Board, Assessors Board, and School Improvement Advisory Committee all has 1.
Because if I kept one or two.
We can have two, we just can't have three. So if there's two people that want to serve on SiAC, we can have two. But I prefer not to have to publish as a public meeting.
And the foundation board meets usually once a month.
Yep.
Correct,
The
Carrie.
second Tuesday
Okay.
It's over the lunch hour.
of the lunch hour, yep.
And then Amy, you served previously as the Lyon County Assessor's rep,
Yeah, and I think it's like one meeting a year,
one meeting a
maybe.
year.
It's
Yep. So each
Very nice.
taxing authority has representation on that. So West Lyon School Board, us, George Little Rock, and then each of the cities in the county. And then I believe it's 2 board of supervisors in addition to the assessor. So usually, like you said, it's one meeting a month, but there might be an additional meeting if something special comes up.
So, we'll open this up for discussion, so please feel free, if there's any committee that you would, like to be on. I think it'd be nice, to get Scott and Jordan on a couple of them. Ideally, maybe not putting them on together so that there's one experienced board member on there, so. Speak now. I've been on buildings, grounds, and transportation. We've gone through a big project. So, talking it through, it's probably not a bad time to install 2 new board members on there. Carrie, it's up to you if,
Yeah, and I've been on there since I've been a board member for 8 years also, and I'm open to switch, to doing something else too.
do you have the list of what everybody's on currently?
Yep, if you click the attachment.
Oh, it is on?
Yep.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
I'd be
yep.
willing to do buildings and grounds if someone feels strongly.
So on the left is the current standings
See
and
that now.
as we go. Mhm.
Amy, you would like to be
I
on?
would do buildings and grounds.
Jordan?
can do that.
Okay. Jordan, very good.
Scott, what are you interested in? What would you like to do?
I said I'll just pick up whatever gets left on the table. I don't know, maybe sharing.
And you want to stay on
I've
sharing?
been on sharing, and I wouldn't mind staying on that one as
I think
well.
that's a good idea for the
Scott, you got it?
continuity.
Scott?
Double it up.
Going to, how about policy? We've all been through policy, and as you guys will get acclimated with the board, you'll see there's lots of policies that we review continuously, and it's not a bad practice to be on the policy committee, especially the first, especially one of you. I don't know if you want both of you on there.
Since we bring everything to the board table, there's not a lot of,
It's only when there's maybe a significant change in policy where we'll
Correct.
meet. And I think we met 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
last year as a policy committee, Amy,
Mhm.
to kind of review some of those policies that were significant changes. Otherwise, like you just mentioned, try to bring about 10 policies each meeting over the course of the school year and then kind of take the summer off. And then we go through 2 series a year. Try to break it down so it's about the same number of policies each year. So you don't have 100 one year and 25 the
And
next year.
how we do that policy meeting, or policy committee or whatever, that's been done over the course of the year. Since I've been on the board, it's been done differently and things. So if we can be a little bit flexible with that too, if we would want to, right? Because when I first started on the board, it was more the committee, more did the policy review, and then we still approve it and things at the board table. Now, it's more kind of open to all of us to review and then come to the board table. So I just think it's important to know that too.
we found that when we left it to meetings, it was hard to get people together as often as we needed to review policy. So Mr. Dorth kind of started to change that when he took
Yeah.
over, as far as, especially since it's all uploaded into Simply now as well. So.
Is that something that interests you?
Good either way.
Sure, I can do
I
it.
was gonna say, I
Well, I
can
mean-
still do policy if you want like a current person, unless you went into policy.
Yeah, it doesn't, I honestly have never been on policy. I've been on some of the others, but that's one that I haven't, but it doesn't matter to me.
I'll do it if you don't want to. It makes no difference to me.
I think like I'm on budget and finance, so I think maybe that makes sense because Dave was the other one that was on that, so it maybe makes sense for me to stay on that one for right now. So that one,
Did you want to stay on that or not?
Policy, that's fine. I mean, if we want a current person, I would stay on it.
I think it might be good just to have the consistency, if you're willing to stay on the budget and finance, Carrie.
okay, yep.
So then, was it decided, Jordan or Scott, who would like to?
I'll take it.
You'll take it, okay.
That was Jordan's.
Jordan, yep.
Policy, okay.
So what, Jordan and Amy on policy, budget and finance, and then negotiations and personnel. Which Amy, you're on personnel, is that what you would like to stay on?
She's on 2.
I was gonna say I'm already on two if someone else wants to.
Okay.
Did you want to be on
I
personnel?
can be on, I won't mind being on negotiations and personnel.
Yeah.
I've been on that one before, so I have a little
Mhm.
experience there.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I'd do it.
you do it too, okay?
Another double up.
Scott, keep it easy. Type that S right into the email when you got a meeting.
Danger.
Any volunteers for budget and finance to go along with Carrie?
So somebody would be 3 then, right?
Yep.
It would need to probably be Scott. Nope.
Budget and finance doesn't meet,
It's really to review the budget,
yeah.
and then
the-
here with the save bond, Jackie and I have a Zoom with Piper Sandler on Wednesday. So we would get that finance committee, budget committee together before we ultimately kind of decide what's the number that we want to bring back to the board. We've already authorized up to $6.5 million. We know that the bids are not that much. And so once we kind of dial that number in and a couple different options, whether it's a 10-year term or a 7-year term, then we kind of meet, and that would be our first meeting probably between now and December. And then whenever the KRP finishes the previous year's audit, then we get together, and really it's a couple meetings a year for the budget and finance committee.
The only thing I would maybe suggest would maybe be that Carrie stays on buildings and grounds and Amy goes on budget with Carrie. Just because then you guys all have 2 each. Does that make sense? That's up to you guys.
Or I could go on policy
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Okay.
That works too, yep. And then Amy will go on budget with Carrie.
Budget.
and yeah, I would say Amy could either stay on negotiations and then Scott. you
I've got
could
2
go
for everybody
on
right now.
Budget and finance, but yeah, we could do this way too. It could be Scott S. and I on budget and finance, and Amy and Scott Postma on negotiations, and I think it'd be 2 chills. So either way.
That's up to you.
I'll say I've got Amy and Jordan on buildings and grounds. I've got Scott and Scott on personnel. Carrie and Amy on budget. Scott and Scott on sharing, and Carrie and Jordan on policy. So at this point, I have 2 for, you're 2 for everybody.
That's fine.
So then it comes down to your liaisons and your SIAC.
Foundation board, which is a new meeting. Jordan, are you out of town?
Just depends on the day.
Just depends on the day.
Is that something you want to
I
stay on?
I don't mind staying on that one for right now. I've been on it for a couple of years, so I can stay on it for now. Every year we do this thing.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, we'll add Carrie to the foundation board.
You know, SiAC, if you need someone.
Jordan?
Is there anybody else that would like to be on that? You've been on it in the past, and then we'll need one for the assessors board.
I can stay on the assessors if you,
Okay. Anybody else that would like to be on the SiAC committee?
As long as we have one, I
One,
think we're
correct.
good. If somebody else wants to join us when we post the meeting, as long as we don't, like I said, have three, I think anybody else that wants to join us, great, and Jordan can maybe be the standing member of SiAC. All right,
Alright. Do you need a motion?
yeah, let's just go ahead and make that official. Just to review, I've got Amy and Jordan on buildings and grounds, Carrie and Amy on budget and finance, Scott and Scott, negotiations and personnel, Jordan and Carrie on policy, Scott and Scott on sharing, Carrie for the foundation board, Amy for the assessors board, Jordan for SIAC.
Any discussion or questions? I'll take a motion to approve those committees as listed.
so moved.
I'll second.
First, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. Right, superintendent report.
Yeah, so- Just to kind of review on the bus barn and middle school bridge bids that were received on Thursday. Got kind of the summary there. We are not taking action tonight, just kind of talking through the process. We had 5 bidders. As you can see there, Visions Construction Group from Sioux Falls was the low bidder for both projects combined. Statutorily, if we're going to move forward with both projects, we've got to take the lowest bid. If we're only going to move forward with one of the projects, Visions would still be the low on the bus barn. We can reject one of the two, but if we're going in both, we got to go with the low bid total. Does that make sense? So the low bid just for the bridge was WS Construction Management, also out of Sioux Falls. And theirs was at $178,000 as opposed to the others, as you can see there. The estimate from FEH going into this was for both projects $2.125 million. So you can see the low bid is just underneath that estimate, which again, a year ago when we went to bid, it was a different bus barn, in a different location, different design, and only one bidder. So feel very happy to have 5 bidders and have a very competitive process. So thanks to Carrie and Scott for their work over the course of the last couple of years on that Buildings and Grounds Committee, working with Lane and Steve Bresky and everybody else here at school to kind of redesign that and get us to a better place financially. Again, I just try to kind of summarize what your options are, so I just kind of talk through. But our December 13th meeting, we'll have a public hearing for any comment from the community about the bids, any feedback for you guys. And then during the regular meeting, we would take action either to accept that low bid, choose either one or the other, or both projects to move forward with. Okay. If we don't accept it, then we got to reject all bids and go back through the process. As I continue to kind of research visions, their website has a host of different projects that they have done. They were the prime contractor on the Lennox Elementary Building addition. So they built a community center in a metal building in Alcester. And then they were also the prime contractor on the amphitheater in Sioux Falls, I forget the name of it. And then they've got a host of other projects on their website where they were a subcontractor, Dana Dykehouse Stadium, in addition to a variety of other projects as well. So FEH has not worked directly with Visions, but again, feel comfortable moving forward. At our December meeting, between now and December, FEH will continue to do some due diligence, and they'll have a report for us to consider in a presentation at the meeting. So, any questions from you guys in regards to the bid, in regards to the project in general?
Do you have priority over one or the other?
Well, I think the safety priority is the middle school bridge. If we're not comfortable with the number for the bus barn, we've got to move forward with the bridge because it just continues to deteriorate. Yep. So if you haven't taken a look at that, it's when I interviewed 5 years ago, Dave Ackerman said, within 5 years, you're going to need to do something with that bridge. And here we're at that 5-year mark. So this is the third time we've actually taken it to bid. And so this number is much better than where we were a year ago. It was $360,000 a year ago with the one bidder. This number obviously is more competitive. The bus barn that we currently use on the east side of town was built in the late 70s. It's at its end of life.
A while ago.
And so that's why it rose to the level of a priority when we went through the facilities assessment. But if it didn't get done, it wouldn't be the end of the world, where we do have some safety concerns with the middle school bridge.
And Brent just talked about this facility study that we did. So we had that done
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
March of 22.
Okay. Yeah. So we have, what Amy has there.
1.5
Went
years.
through the whole facilities and things. And so that's kind of been directing what our priorities are.
Yes. So happy to get you a copy of that. I think we identified like 16 or 18 different projects. Kind of went through that process. That's what led us to the parking lots and the improvements at the track and football field, and the bus barn and middle school bridge, in addition to the playgrounds.
So the playgrounds are summer.
Yep.
And then we have some classroom work also that.
Yep.
is on our-
Awesome, thank you.
But
All right, any more questions about the bids for the bus barn and the
timeline, yep.
along with the timeline? Yep.
It's a 5 o'clock, or it's a 4:55 public hearing, and then a 5 o'clock meeting. We typically meet at 7 o'clock, but because we've got a choir and band concert on that Monday,
Is that a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
the 13th is a Wednesday.
for a
Yep.
meeting.
And we're not quite to there yet, but we'll actually have a 4:50 public hearing as well that I've thrown into the loop. So plan to be here about 4:45, please. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on to old business, the 2 table items. Brent, you want to take those and kind of explain?
Yep,
What
yep.
they've been tabled?
And so again, similar time frame a year ago in December, the board approved kind of the authority to bond up to $6.5 million against future SAVE, kind of 1 cent sales tax revenues. So that's kind of our authority. That's the maximum authority that we would be able to borrow. This project, these two things together, roughly 2.1 million. And that's why we're meeting again with Piper Sandler, kind of get some options for the board to consider as far as terms, dial in. Now we can really start to estimate what that interest rate would be for then, again, your consideration after approving any projects. If we're just moving forward with the bridge, then we don't need to bond. We can just probably use cash. But that's where we're at with that. So I would say also in December, we'll probably approve that if we're approving the project, the bus barn project. We can wait until January if we want to, but the timeline to begin construction is as soon as the snow melts, so April. So we're gonna want the money to get the project started.
And just for clarification, when we bond against save dollars, that's not property tax. It's just 1 cent sales tax, and it's on future revenues. So it does not affect any households in our district. It's simply on the dollars we already receive. We're just putting liens against those dollars instead of it being flush cash. So that's how we'll pay it back as well.
Same funding that was used to build the weight room and wrestling room and the office spaces. When that was passed in 2014, similar, no impact to local property taxes. The second item here is also, if we do move forward with the bus barn project, our current bus barn, looking at that piece of property, there's already kind of a description, a legal description made if we want to turn around and sell that. And we decided to table that until we knew whether or not we're moving forward with the bus barn out at the FFA property. So we can move forward on that whenever the board is comfortable, if and when we approve the bids that were received last Thursday. We divided it into two pieces of land over there. One that is essentially just the current bus barn, and then the other that is like the parking lot and a piece of kind of property on the northeast side of the current land. We can sell each one together, we can sell them separately, and that's what ultimately we'll need to decide what we want to do with that. And it'll just continue to remain on the table until the board feels comfortable moving forward or keeping that. And we vote not to parcel it or sell it.
Any other questions for Brent? Those two items? Okay. We'll move on to new business items then. A couple of housekeeping items here. First one, consider time and place of regularly scheduled board meetings. It's always been second Monday of the month at 7 o'clock. Has been the tradition. Has been times where we've had to adjust those times. And we always kind of discuss on a previous meeting. So just like next month, we're going to have it on Wednesday, the 13th. So if there's a conflict with either anybody right now with those times, otherwise I would just keep the same time and date. Okay.
Someone want to make a motion?
You need a motion?
Yes, you need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the time and date as the second Monday of the month at 7 p.m.
Second?
First and second, to approve the time and place of regularly scheduled board meetings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Moving forward, consider board meeting procedures.
So this document that you have in the packet is the same purple trifold that we provide to any community member that signs up for public comment. Just gives a kind of a summary of the policies and how we want the community to resolve any concerns or complaints, starting at the lowest level possible, and that if you do make public comment, the board reserves the right to limit that comment to the number of people that sign up. So if there's 20 people that sign up, the board can say, we're only going to take public comment for this amount of time. And that might mean you only get 2 minutes or 5 minutes to talk. And then it also lists all your guys' names as board members and the administrators how to contact the school.
Any questions about that? If not, I'll take a motion to approve that, those procedures.
Look at that, you already updated it and everything.
Other than president and vice
On the
president.
ball. I'll make a motion to approve the board meeting procedures.
One second.
First and second to consider the board meeting procedures. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. Next item, consider approval of fiscal year 2022 audit report and financial statements.
As you can see, Mr. Jorth put some more detail as far as the 3 findings and the steps taken to address those 3 findings. Nothing of true significance. It's not that we're being written up for anything like that that has to be reported to the state. It's just things that they encounter as they do a thorough review of our books. And then once approved, if approved, then they will send that on to the state for us and get that filed. So we can check that off our list that we've been waiting on.
And they're going to be working on
This year, so they continue.
They have been here, done the field work. I think this has been a priority for them, and then they'll slowly move into fiscal year 23. But
as of right now,
as of right now, they have everything they need from me to at least start that process, yes.
and they don't anticipate it taking.
I would hope not, but as soon as I get this one finalized from them, then I'll start bugging them about the next one.
So,
And then I have to bug them about fiscal year 24, and then hopefully get us on their books to continue to be our auditor, because they have dropped clients,
correct.
quite a few clients over the last couple of years because of all of these issues. So
When do
And
we
we
have
have
to
a
do that?
3-year.
we have 3 years. So fiscal 22 was our first year. This year, or the 23 was our second year. This year, 24 is our third year. So I would typically be sending out RFPs right now, but I'm slow playing it so that they kind of can breathe a little bit. There have been districts around us who don't have an auditor until the month that they need to be there because there's just not enough anymore. And we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get there. But
So you've been really nice to them.
I have been really nice to them. I have been at their beck and call, and emails have been laced with sugar and sweetness, so I'm hoping to stay on their good side. Yes, yes.
Because ultimately, there's been districts, like Jackie said, that have sent out, 20 RFPs and they don't get any in return. So.
Which is
and
what
that-
happened to us, actually, if you remember. And then Mr. Dorth sort of sweet-talked them, and they took us, which is fantastic. So it might happen.
We had them because of, again, their frequency in the Siouxland, Northwest Iowa. They're a Sioux City-based firm. Our only other RFP that we received was a nationwide Deloitte, Bailey, sorry.
And they're no longer, they don't do West Lyon anymore either, so they are no longer taking clients either. So.
Ultimately, it's supposed to be the state of Iowa's auditor that comes in and does that, but they're even short-staffed.
And they are saying no now.
So I mean, it's just the reality of public entity audits and the lack of firms that are providing that service.
And you have to have it. So we sort of sit out here and twiddle our thumbs trying to figure out how to make it work, so.
Maybe since we didn't have many issues, they'll be quick to.
I hope so, and we had a nice lunch with them when they're here, and they're making improvements on their side to try and make it more streamlined as well by having an upload system. We met with the 2 ladies that were actually here doing the audit, and they even said it had gotten better as workers. And so they knew they had some issues, and they're just trying to fix those as they go too, so. I hope.
Any questions about the approval of the fiscal year 2022 audit report and financial statements? If not, I will take a motion when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the 22 audit report and financial statements.
First and a second, all in favor, aye. Opposed? Passes. Item number 4, consider resolution to hold public hearing on December 13th at 4:50. Continuation of instructional support.
So I kind of threw this at Mr. Jorth last week before we left for football, unfortunately. It is, every 5 years, we renew our instructional support levy, and it is always in November and December, and so it kind of fell into 2 new board members coming on. What we're doing tonight is basically saying we want to continue with the program. We want to continue it being a board-approved levy instead of going out for a vote. That is an option, and that's how we've always done it. And as you can see in Mr. Jorth's review on the content, the instructional support levy generates around $465,000, and we use that for any general fund purpose. So that it just basically flows into our general fund and helps us pay for, again, any general fund purpose, whether it's salaries, benefits, textbooks, heating, cooling, all of those things. It's just any general fund purpose. So I would recommend continuing with the program. This is, like I said, we do it before it expires, so we always do it in the 4th year before it expires in the 5th year, and that's where we're at. All you're approving tonight is to consider to hold the public hearing, so anyone can object to us having that levy. And then after the public hearing, you'll actually
Take
approve
action.
and take action to go forward. So tonight, you're just giving me authorization to put notice in the paper about a public hearing that we would like to continue. So I would appreciate your positive vote on that.
It's $465, is that typical of what we?
It's been anywhere from 350 to 450 to 500,000 over the last, since I started here. It's slowly gone up, and then a few years it kind of dipped down because they make changes to it at the state level, but yeah, that's pretty typical.
The maximum is 10% of your general fund budget.
Correct.
Okay.
And so the uniqueness about the ISL is you can do all income surtax, or you can do a limit to your income surtax or all property tax. So we try to balance that the best we can.
Correct. I do as much surtax so that I take it more off the property tax.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do.
That's how we've been able to kind of bring our property tax down over the course of the last 3 years.
And it is a resolution. There are certain things that we have to take a roll call vote because they're resolutions, because they affect either taxes or the true budget of the school district. And so I'll do a roll call vote on this if and when you suggest the option.
I know this meeting is at 5 o'clock, which is different, but is that gonna work? And I mean, I think it kind of has to at this point, but I'll make that work, and so then coming at 4:50.
We don't have very many meetings. So
No,
start
this is
it's just a
the
unique.
only one.
I think we had to do it Wednesday nights, and I think if it was later, it got into church times. So
And then the public hearing is simply you guys being here, opening it up for comment. You don't take any action in the public hearing. You're simply just waiting for
Receiving comments.
if anyone would have a comment. It's just required by law. We do it several times a year, whether it's for the budget or these bids or whatever the case might be.
School calendar, and there's a host of.
Does it have to be 4:50 or could it be 4:55?
The other one is at 4:55.
Oh, there's 2 of them that.
So you're gonna do the bids at 4:55, so you're at 4:40, and another one.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be here at 4:45.
Okay.
Or 4,
If you
4:49, and then you only need a quorum, so it really doesn't.
just need 3 of
We just
us.
need 3 of us here, so.
So yeah, if it's a conflict to be here at 4:50, just make sure you communicate that with us prior to the meeting.
And on that same note, if it ever comes that someone has to miss a meeting, all we need is a quorum. So it does happen that people miss meetings. I mean,
You
people
have
have,
call in vote, or I mean,
Yep.
call in. We've called in before to
Yep.
be a part of the meeting, so.
just need to be in communication with Mr. Jorth if you are going to be absent, because then he needs to make sure that at least 3 of you are going to be here. Otherwise, the meeting can't go on, so.
Make a motion to hold the public hearing on December 13 at 4:50 for the continuation of the instructional support program.
Second.
Jackie?
And a roll call vote. Manning?
Yes.
Postma?
Aye.
Carter?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Sturman?
Aye.
And passes 5-0. Thank you.
Moving on, consider Northwest AEA Board of Directors candidate.
Actually, we slipped in the consider allowable growth supplemental state aid on you, Scott.
It's not online. Sorry. Yep.
That's all right.
I was looking.
I did that once we amended the agenda. Jackie's got another memo in there. Listed each one of these, we could take both of them together, but the first 5A is in the amount of $85,478.80. Again, this is on-time funding for increased open enrollment. And then B is $4,810.05 for educating students in the ELL program beyond 5 years in which we are supposed to receive funding. So we request that, so together it's about $90,000.
All automated application that I applied to the state for, but it does require board approval because again, it affects the bottom line, it affects the budget, it affects the school receipts. So I ask that you consider it for approval.
And you've done this one in the past, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
every November we do this after roll, or after certified enrollment.
Yeah.
So all those numbers flow into the state and then they give us this option. So this is not actually increasing property taxes, it's not, I don't even know what else to say. It's not increasing property taxes. It is simply allowable growth. So it increases our budget availability, I guess is the term that I would use, which we want.
We'll take both of those together like Brent had said. So is there any other questions or comments about the increased open enrollment out and the limited English proficiency program? If not, then we'll take a motion to approve those items.
So,
Motion and second to approve those two items as listed. All in favor, single aye.
aye.
All opposed?
Now you got
Now we can go to the
AEA, you got
AAA Board of Directors. Amy Jones has been our director for a number of years. We have to vote for one, and she's the only one on the ballot, so if there's any questions or concerns, so we take those now, otherwise I would move to take Brent's recommendation to approve Amy.
And this isn't a roll call. We can just, okay. I'll make a motion to vote for Amy Jones for AEA Board of Directors.
Is there a second? A motion and a second to approve Amy as the board of director. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Jackie, open enrollment.
Yeah, we got one student, again,
Just recently?
yep,
Okay.
so just received this, maybe 2 weeks ago.
So do we get funding for this student, or that's already?
We will turn around and bill for this student, yep.
So we wouldn't count them in our seats. The other district does, but then I would bill them because they attend here. Correct.
Yep, and open enrollment laws have really changed, and so the board only has 3 reasons now to deny open enrollment in. The first is insufficient classroom space. And as we talked about, really first grade is our only grade level where we feel like we do not have space for any students. This student's a 9th grader. The second reason you can deny is if you don't have a suitable program. Typically that falls within the ELL program or special education or any other specific needs that the student has that we would not be able to provide. The student doesn't have any of those needs. And then the third one is if the student is under suspension or has another disciplinary reason that they need to complete in their resident district, and that's, the student does not have that. So I just bring these to the board each month that we receive them, simply because if in the future we need to deny, I just want to be as transparent as possible with the families that are requesting and the districts that they're coming from.
And remind me and the board, I guess, when we approve an open enrollment, what's the stipulation of like when they can compete or when they can be part of it?
Yep, so that's governed by the athletic association, so
Yeah.
there's a 90-day
Okay.
transfer rule. Once you open enroll in, you cannot compete at the varsity level. And so they can compete at a JV, JVR, junior high, 7th and 8th grade level.
So the student would be able to
Sure.
compete.
Yep. And I'm not specifically asking for this, but
yeah, I'm just using the ninth grade.
Yeah, just
Yep.
as a reminder. Unless both districts agree to waive that, correct? Is that-
Correct.
I mean,
And
like if they were.
we have not waived that for any
Mhm.
students since that
Yep.
was changed at the same time that the open enrollment law was changed.
Okay.
So
Any other questions? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve the open enrollment request.
Make a motion to approve the open enrollment request as listed.
A second.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, moving on to hiring. Personnel, do you want to take these together?
yeah, I think we're fine to take these together. Both Anthony Polscher and Sutton Schlumbaum interviewed for high school assistant track coach position. We had 2 of those openings due to Toby Lorenzen's resignation and Dan Snyder's resignation. And as a result, Greg Town a couple months ago was hired as the head track coach, head girls track coach. So kind of shuffling amongst the current staff, created these openings. Anthony is currently a middle school track coach. So that's why we have her listed as a transfer. Sutton has not been on the track at middle school or high school, so she would be the new hire here. It creates an opening in the middle school, so we'll have to advertise and try to recruit somebody to join. Jeff Cruz and Brad Rabling were our current middle school coaches, but our participation numbers have been very strong. And all of our middle school coaches, much like our high school coaches, work with both girls and boys programs. Anything to add there, Mr. Engelman?
Any questions about those 2 hirings? If not, take a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve the transfer and hiring as listed.
Second?
We have first and second to approve the 2 hirings as listed. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Very good. Moving on to announcements and dates to remember.
Yeah, busy month of October and November. We transitioned from fall to winter activities here. The girls basketball team opens their season tomorrow. The girls wrestlers wrestled at Emmitsburg on Saturday, are wrestling tonight. The boys basketball and wrestling teams will not be competing. The boys will not be playing on Tuesday, but I believe they're playing on Friday versus MOC Floyd Valley. Then the wrestling team will not be wrestling their double duel at Okoboji at the end of next week. I don't think they've decided whether or not they're going to their tournament at Emmitsburg the week after Thanksgiving, kind of just see how practice goes and whether or not they are ready. They feel like they're ready, but we've already kind of communicated that don't plan on us at Emmitsburg. Things change, then we'll let them know. Otherwise, I just listed, we are out at 1:15 this Wednesday. Students dismissed at 1:15. Teachers have been working on flexible professional learning. If you remember, we had that conversation during the calendar committee. And then no school Thursday and Friday. And like I said, Monday, the 11th, we moved our meeting to Wednesday, and now we've got the 4:50, 4:55 public hearings, and then the regular meeting at 5 o'clock due to the concert on that Monday, the 11th. Any other announcements, things that we need to get on the calendar, gentlemen? Okay.
Very good. All right, moving on to bill review. Jackie will pass out the bills.
Kind of want to walk through what we're doing here, Jackie?
You know, every month, Jackie will pass out the bills for us to initial and review, just making sure we keep track of Jackie.
Basically looking for the invoice, what it's for, dollar amounts that my checks match, the dollar amounts are due. Sometimes you might find that there's sales tax included in the invoice and I don't catch it. So if you find something like that, we shouldn't pay sales tax on anything. Just want to make sure it looks like a legitimate invoice. One of the biggest concerns in business offices is the construction of invoices by people, not accurate vendors, those kinds of things. So you just want to make sure that everything looks legit and that I have a check stub to match it. The checks aren't mailed until you sign off on these things. There are a few things that checks are mailed in advance, like utilities, things that we can't be late on, or they'll maybe not let us have them. So we want to make sure of that. There is a very, very fun one, which I will give to Mr. Holtzman because he loves it, is the credit card bill. And the credit card bill is quite large. And it's a lot of travel. It's technology purchases. It's some supply purchases. I just wasn't sure about that resolution. There's not a lot I can tell you to look for in it, other than just kind of review that it looks like legitimate purchases in that as well.
That came about a long time ago.
Yeah.
On it right here,
Yep.
So on the invoice, I put a red stamp. If you could sign initial, you don't have to sign, just initial in that, saying that you agree with that payment. And if you don't, please let me know and I'll try to explain that specific bill. But yeah, it came about 5-6 years ago from one of our audits, just to kind of put some more checks and balances in place. It was a suggestion and we thought it was a good one. And then Mr. Dorth added it in public session, just so the community could even see that you guys are taking the time to do these things. Thank you, guys.